in the shed. Yeah, absolutely. Get into the little shed shack we go. And this is the little setup I've got now, just inside the shed in the summer. Mainly the 6900N there, just on its little shelf, and extension speaker, headphones. I generally always use headphones, and the little power box there, little sort of plastic toolbox power supply that I made, which cost about sort of £11. There's a video for that. I'll leave it at the end actually if you want to. I've been using that with the 6900 all spring and into the summer. Absolutely no issues at all with that. That's been working really well. So this is sort of what I would say that the summer setup. If we just move outside and look up in the sun there, so up the top there is the shed shack. There's the old Antron 99, and then in the attic is the main shack. But the problem is with the attic is that it gets incredibly hot in there. I've got no windows to open or anything like that, so when it gets too hot to go on the radio and do videos, I generally sort of come down here and use the 6900. Now I like using the 6900. I'm using that on QRP really, which is at about 20 watts maximum, and it's it's quite a challenge, certainly for DX and things, and I just quite like using the low power. But I've got another setup. This came about really when we got Bella, when Bella was a little pup, and couldn't really leave her on her own because they need to go to the loo and things. So what I did was spinning around here. We got this little rather cheap switch box. This is a sort of a Chinese little switch box. I don't know if I recommend these or not. It seems to work, but it is a little bit cheap and nasty. I haven't really seen a decent switch box, not really at any price. And to be honest, if you want to be sort of 100% sort of kind of RF free, you better just to have a simple sort of double barreled connector and just connect the cables accordingly. But of course it is more convenient just to come out here and flick the switch. So we're using this little switch box. So I run a separate feed outside. This was just literally done in one afternoon, sort of very, very quickly, and run it out of the shed here. It was a 10 meter piece of coax on RG58, which isn't the best. And as you can see, I had quite a bit over, and just literally run that round and sort of tagged it onto these sort of wires that is the power and something else that I've forgotten, and then just run it through the air vent there into the living room. And I've been using the 9900 there, so I can sort of use that in the living room, just in there, put it on the armchair, put it on the arm and just sit back and join the 305 net and keep an eye on the dogs. And that's been working fine. And then, as I say, that 9900 was getting a little bit warm on sort of even half power, so it was fine. But I'm kind of like to play with things. I like to fiddle about, as you can sort of tell, and sort of build things, and that's part of the hobby, is the sort of the little bit of tinkering. So anyway, went on eBay and picked up a little Zetagi B150, got an amplifier. It was cheap, no one was bidding on this, so I got this for, I think it was about £22 or something. And it seems to work, and we've got this little kind of network type rack power supply that sort of powers it okay. And I think it was sort of working reasonably okay. Got some mixed reports on it. Dave 2865 said it was a little bit clipping on the audio, and 061 said it was okay. It wasn't as good as the normal audio. But then Steve 318. Now Steve's a great guy. Steve will come on. He'll tell you exactly what your audio's like. He doesn't muck about, and that's what you want. That's what you need. So then Steve came on and said it sounds absolutely awful, and it did. And he put up a little video clip. So I'm going to include that now. Have a listen to this.
There's Fred and Dave on here. Fred as in Fred in the shed. And he's running 3 watts into an amplifier. Have a listen and see what you think.
Yeah, I kind of played it on the video. I mean, to be fair, I think...
To me, it sounds horrible.
Get yourself a decent paint antenna. And do what Dave's doing, sort it off, get it as high as you can, and maybe look at improving the coax. Before you actually buy yourself a linear, because they're not the answer to everything. They can degrade your audio on the radio, especially on the 9900, it's got a really good audio to start with.
So as you can hear, that sounded absolutely terrible. So it's definitely clipping, too much volume, I reckon, too much audio on the mic gain. So I'm going to reduce the mic gain down, and I'm going to improve the patch leads, just using these little RG58 leads and an RG58 run. So I've ordered some Mini 8 because I need to get through that little vent now. So we're going to do some testing on this video, and other people have got the same problem. Dave there, 2865, he's when he switches his little linear on, he's got the same sort of issue. He's got a kind of a clipping. His audio certainly gets worse than it would do normally through the radio. So these little linears, they do work. The bigger ones, I think, have got less problems. They're more forgiving, but these little ones, you do have to sort of work with them if you like to get over certain limitations. There's no point in switching on a audio amplifier to sort of trying to increase your range if it deteriorates your audio output of your radio. That's not the way you want to go. You'd be better with less power but a cleaner audio. It is certainly on sideband. It is the strength and the quality of your audio that's going to get you heard. Anyway, in this video we're going to do some testing on this, and we're going to play about with this and see if we can increase the quality of the audio, get rid of all that clipping, and just... Right, so here's my little living room sort of shack setup, very nice and comfortable, just with the radio and the amplifier. Now when you're going to run a linear, I always recommend that you run your radio off of a separate power supply unit, not the same as the linear. It just sort of balances things out a little bit easier. So first thing you want to look at is, have you got enough power going into that linear to run it? Now that little Zetagi B150, when I put that on a meter, that was pulling around about, I think, 9 to 10 amps on FM. So I've got one of these type 8921s, Mascot power supplies, same as I've got one in the shed shack down. That has a 15 amp maximum output. So in theory, that should be pretty much more than enough to run that amplifier. If I can't solve it in another way, I may upgrade the amplifier to a 30 amp supply. It's always best to go on the higher level to have that little bit in reserve. Think of it like if you're driving a car, for example. You might want to drive 70 miles an hour on a motorway. Well, you don't really want to go on a motorway with a car that has a maximum speed of 75 in case you encounter a hill and you can't accelerate. So you want a car that does 100, maybe 110s, something like that. So that's the first thing. Power. You've got power going into the actual amp itself. Then we've got the radio. Now you've got the RF setting output on the radio. Again, you don't want to overdrive these little amplifiers. They do say that they'll take roughly about sort of 10 watts on sideband. Personally, if you can, they probably work a little bit better and safer if you can reduce that. Now this radio, the CRT 9900, when this is right down on its minimum setting, it's about 3 watts on the meter. I don't really want to go above that. I'd like to use about the 3 watts. If you're underdriving the little amp, what will happen is on FM is you might get a relay stutter where it's like that, which if you're putting in, say, less than 1 watt, it might not be enough to fire the relay. On sideband, it should have a relay lock system on it, whereupon once you fire that relay, it clicks down and then it holds from when you dekey, and then it clicks up. So it shouldn't really have that problem on sideband. But so probably more than 1 watt. I'm going to put sort of 3 into the radio. Now another thing is the microphone. Power microphones can cause problems with little linear amplifiers. They can sort of overdrive it. So you want to go into your menu system on your radio. We're using a 9900. I'm just using a standard mic, but what I'd done before is I'd cranked this up. I think it goes to about 35 maximum mic gain on memory, and I'd had this up to around about 30, I think, to really sort of drive the radio. So I've reduced it down now to 15. I'll just sort of show you that. You just hold down the menu button there. That brings up you've got your menu options, bleep, colours and things. So number 3 there is microphone, and you hit the tuning. So there you go. I'm at 15. As I say, you can go right the way up to 35. I'm going to stay at 15 is the standard setting. I'm going to keep it at 15, and as I say, I'll give it another go. I was on about 33, I think, when I did the test there with Charlie Tango 318. So okay, so I'm down to 15. I'm not going to touch the coax at the moment. I've ordered some Mini 8. That's something that I should have, just upgrading in general. And I'm going to tidy up the insulation as it goes into the shack. I'm also going to replace that little patch lead with Mini 8 as well. That's just standard housekeeping and upgrade. But that's the first thing we're going to do. We've reduced down the mic gain down to 15, and I'm going to run a test with the Yaesu 450 receiving, and we'll give it a go. And then we'll sort of see what comes out. Right, okay, we're ready to run tests now. I've got the camera running. Now, just for the newbies, when you're on sideband, remember, of course, you're calling out all over Europe from the UK. So it doesn't matter what frequency you're on. It's a good idea just to make sure that the frequency is completely clear before you start doing tests. And if necessary, you have to change frequency. So I'm just going to ask that first. Yeah, this is 26 Charlie Tango 1664. Just checking the frequency is clear before I do some audio tests. Right, that seems absolutely fine, so we can go ahead. Yeah, audio test 1 2 1 2 audio test 1 2 1.
Yeah, audio test 1 2 1 2 audio test 1 2 1 2. Mary had a little lamb. Its fleece was white as snow. A B C D E F G audio 1 2 1 2 audio.
Right, what I've done on this one is back into that menu and got the mic setting. I'll put it down to number 10 now, which I think probably is enough. So got the amplifier switched on again. So we're going to run an audio check with the amplifier, and then straight after I'm going to run it with the amplifier switched off, and hopefully they'll sound about the same. So this is with the amplifier. So yeah, audio check.
So yeah, audio check. Charlie Tango 26 1664. Fred in the shed, St Albans home base, running audio checks. 9900 with the linear running now, running 3 watts into the back of the linear. So Mary had a little lamb. Audio 1 2 1 2 audio 1 2.
Right, okay, so for this one we switched off the linear. We're just bypassing straight through it, and we're going to do a straight audio check, and hopefully if the amplified audio sounds the same as the non-amplified audio, we know we're pretty much there. So anyway, here we go. Yeah, audio check.
Yeah, audio check on the 9900 with no linear amplifier connected, just straight out the back of the box on QRP power. So 1 2 1 2 audio, and mic setting is number 10. So Fred in the shed 1664 running audio checks.
Well, there we go. That's the last of the audio checks. Some of the comments I get is people say, "Oh, Fred, you've set up this lovely radio bench, and you never seem to use it. Why aren't you on the shack? Why aren't you on the 450 or even the Alinco DX77?" Well, there's a good reason why I'm not in the shack. And if I zoom into the temperature gauge here, can you see that? There you go. We're just over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. We're just edging up to 40 degrees centigrade, and that is why I'm not. That is why I'm not in the shack in the summer. It's too bloody hot. That's the simple answer. Right. So the proof of the pudding is in the eating. So all that testing at home, we need to get a live test now. And I'm going to try and get Dave 2865 on. See if he's got a bit of time for me, and see if we can get an audio report from Dave, and sort of see what he thinks. Charlie Tango 1664, calling Charlie Tango 2865. Charlie Tango 1664, calling Charlie Tango 2865. Nothing heard. I did hear Dave. Bit worrying that he can't hear me. Okay, 2865, 1664 back.
You've gone really quiet back of the box, buddy.
Okay, Roger. I'll be increasing the mic gain then.
Roger that.
Okay, 1664 call.
Yeah, that's stronger.
But not as strong as I was before though, when I was just running straight power, Roger.
Say that one more time.
So I've got to just whack the...
If you're transmitting, I can't hear you, buddy.
No, not transmitting at the moment. Right, okay, just whacked up the mic gain a little bit. So, I'll give you some numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, it's clipped him. Again, like it was before, so I heard the 6, then the 8, and that's all I heard.
Go away.
I heard your voice in between.
Away, Kenny. Right, so we're clipping at 25. Let's take it down to 18, 19. Kenny, away, I'm busy. Away. Right, okay, backed it off a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, so the clipping has stopped. You're clear and audible, but quite quiet. So I have to turn the volume up so I can hear you.
That's a Rog. Well, there you go. So if I go a little bit higher on the mic gain, we overload the amplifier. But if I sort of turn, I'm talking at normal level there. So well, that could be a bit of an issue. Yeah, obviously when I was I had the mic gain turned up there, it was obviously sort of pushing it a little bit too hard. So it's going to be quite a fine adjustment, I think.
Yeah, roger that. In that conversation, in that over just there, some of it went back to clipping again, which is a bit weird because you'd expect it to be consistent, but it seems to be inconsistent, Roger.
Right, okay, so back to standard power now, and I've got the mic gain back up to 30, so all should be quite well, and you'll be jamming for that volume control. Turn me down, Dave, over.
I preempted that, you see, Fred. You are coming through, honestly, as if you're sitting next to me. What rig is it you're on, the 9900 or the 6900?
No, this is all with the 9900 there, Dave. Stop mucking about with that. Just trying to reduce the audio input into the amp there. You know, just trying to sort of get it to non-clip. It was working fine on my own, obviously my own setup. But I can't, you know, compare it actually live, if you like, over the air. But obviously that isn't going to work. That's going to push the amp too hard if I turn up the audio, Rog.
Yeah, roger that, because we're about 5 miles away. But I've come to a conclusion now. My amp is going on eBay, so I'm going to sell it because I was faffing around with that so much, and I get a bit upset if I can't figure something out after a period of time. And so yeah, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put like a £5 away a week, and I'm going to drive the 9900 as hard as I can, and if it breaks, I either get it fixed or buy another one.
So there we go. This is radio. This is what it's all about testing. So a little bit disappointment for me there. I thought I'd suss that problem out, of course, with the testing I did upstairs in the shack. You know, it all seemed to sort of sound good. But this is why you have to really test with live people and find out what it actually sounds like over a distance. And obviously with that mic gain there turned down to 10 or 15, yeah, just a bit too quiet there, unfortunately. When you turn it up to getting close to 20, 25 to get the audio up, it then unfortunately hits the sort of limit of the amplifier, and then the audio starts breaking down. It starts clipping. So, you know, a little bit of a setback. Not quite sure how we're going to solve that. We'll be changing the RG58 to Mini 8 cable, which is what I need to do anyway. Not confident that will actually help sort of too much. It could be the amplifier itself. I mean, I did buy it very cheaply used on eBay, of course, so it might have been that the amplifier has been overdriven at times, and it could just be that. But anyway, we're going to persevere with it. I say this is radio, you know, you take a step forward, and then sometimes you have to take a step back, hopefully not 2 steps back. So I've not really advanced anywhere, but I haven't really sort of lost anything. So the old 9900 there, of course, out the back, no problem. So why don't I stick with that? Well, I probably will. I might end up doing that. But it's all about fiddling, tweaking, and trying different things. That's what is the beauty of the hobby. If we didn't do that, then we'd just be using our phones on Skype or Zello, something like that, and it would work fine every time. So anyway, going to bring this one to a close. If I do manage to solve this problem with that Zetagi B150, then yeah, I will do an update for you. But as for now, cheers, thank you for sticking with it. Any comments, of course, that you might have to, you know, if that issue, hit those in the comment box. I'm very interested to try different solutions as long as they're practical. But as for now, as always, thank you for watching. Hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to Freddy in the Shed, and you'll be able and hit that bell button there. You'll get some notifications of forthcoming videos. But as always, take care of yourselves, stay safe. I'll catch you on the next one. 73.